Welcome to the UACNJ, United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey presentation, What's Up in the April Sky, with me, your host, Lonny Buinis, amateur astronomer for decades, also space artist, space animator, and author. Let's find out what's up in the April sky. A talk we normally do the first Saturday of every month, April through October, at the United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey, an umbrella organization of many clubs and societies throughout the state of New Jersey and some from Pennsylvania and New York. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see several things. What's up in the sky? Let's start. In April, we expect April showers to bring May flowers. And if you look to the left of Orion in the west, disappearing in the west this time of year, really part of the winter sky, you will see in the constellation of Monoceros, one horn, a fuzzy object. This fuzzy object is a stellar birthplace with hydrogen gas glowing red and many stars being born. The rosette, for its resemblance to a rose. Appropriate. April showers bring nebulas. Coming attractions. What's up in the sky? Well, you can look this up on csky.org. Watching for the full and super moon, a full moon that is closest to Earth than it's been in a while. I have a picture of the moss pink or wild ground phlox in the upper right. The early Native American tribes noticed that this plant appeared, and so they called the moon the full pink moon. Oh, universal time, by the way, is 4 hours ahead of us. So if you want to find out what our time is, subtract 4 from 2 plus 12, 10:35 p.m. the night before, April 7th, is when it happens in Eastern time. Astronomers like to use universal time. The sprouting grass moon, the growing moon, the egg moon, the current moon, full moon, goes by many names, including the full fish moon for the shad swimming upstream to spawn. This is the third of 4 supermoons, 4 supermoons for this year, which means that because the moon's orbit around Earth is not a perfect circle, but an ellipse, sometimes when the moon is full, it's also closer to the Earth, and so it's a few percent bigger. Hard to notice visually. If you take a photo and measure it, you might see the difference. We also have a meteor shower, not a major one, but it peaks on the 22nd and 23rd, visible for some time before and after. It's when the Earth enters a stream from a comet breaking up, or debris from a comet. In this case, we see the stream coming from the constellation Lyra, diverging just like railroad tracks, meeting in the distance. These are pieces of debris traveling in parallel tracks, about 20 an hour, but you do really need dark skies to see that. The kind that you would see at Jenny Jump, one of the darkest observatories in the state of New Jersey, if not the darkest. The comet Thatcher, discovered in 1861, left these particles behind. So we're seeing debris from a comet. And, lucky for us, the moon is nearly full this day, which means a new moon, I'm saying not full, nearly new, which means it's close to the sun, can't be seen, it's not shedding a lot of light into the sky. It's a good time to see faint objects, like meteors. The next day, new moon. You want to see, as we call it in the scientific jargon, faint stuff. Good time to do it. And next month, I'll tell you a little bit about the Eta Aquarids meteor shower coming May 6th. This is debris left over from Comet Halley, a famous comet that I saw in 1984, and which I hope to see in 2061, when I'll be only 108 years old. Let's take a look at Stellarium, a free program that lets you see the Earth, see the sky from Earth any day or any time of the year, day or night, in the past, in the present, in the future. There's also Celestia, which lets you fly through the solar system and beyond. But let's focus on stellarium for now. We're facing the the south and western part of the sky where things are disappearing. We're going to be looking for Venus and the moon, depending on the date. But the sky changes continually, doesn't it? Let's look at the sky for April 4th, when I normally would give my talk, What's Up in the Sky. I'll choose a time of 21 hours. Quick, mathematicians in the audience, what's 21 minus 12? 9 p.m. Very good. Let's go back. And we can freeze time. Then we can take the time display away. Look in the western sky and you'll see winter constellations. Taurus, the bull, the V shape. Orion, the hunter. Looks almost like a person, right? I'm going to cheat a little bit today by leaving constellation lines on. And you might not see it this way yourself, but it helps to identify constellations. The very bright star in the western sky, setting now a little earlier each night, is not a star. It's the brightest planet, Venus. And here's the reason. It's covered with bright clouds. Even though it's in a thick crescent phase, Venus sends back more light than any other planet. And so on some nights, if it's very dark and you have a piece of white paper, you can even cast a shadow of your hand or any object from the light of Venus. Unfortunately, Venus is not a nice place to visit. 900 degrees, sulfuric acid atmosphere, and 90 atmospheres of pressure would crush, burn, and dissolve you. Almost as bad as a New Jersey summer. Venus is very close this night on the 4th to a group of 7 stars known as the Pleiades, the 7 sisters. A star cluster, very close to Earth, only a few hundred light years away. But it's probably best for us to start in the northern sky, where we see the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, the House, the W for the King, the Queen, the Big Bear, and the Little Bear. These constellations never rise or set. They just spin around the North Pole of the Earth, which points here very close to Polaris, the pole star. A long time ago, when the Egyptian pyramids were built, Thuban was our pole star. You can see how far things have moved in 3,000 years. But we can identify these objects by the lines, which you won't see in the sky. The Big Bear's tail, 7 stars, the head, the claws. Look carefully. If you have good eyesight, you might see that the Bennu star in the handle of the Big Dipper is actually a double star, 2 stars. So there are really 8 stars that make the Big Dipper. We can speed up time in stellarium so we can see how the sky rotates around the North Pole star. See that? Right into the daytime. Let's go back. And I can pick a current time. I can stop any time. You can see the time indicator on the bottom. So we're going back a little bit to when it's still light, about 8:21 at night. A little bit forward. Anybody dizzy yet? No? When all the stars come out, it's nice and dark after 9 o'clock. It's getting to the point where children are going to have to stay up late with you to see the sky. Best stuff to see, though, is in the southern sky. And that is because A lot of cool things follow a path through the sky through special constellations that we call the signs of the zodiac. Gemini, the twins. Leo, see if you can guess what that is. And of course we have something interfering on the night of the 4th, and that is a gibbous moon, when the moon is not quite full, almost fully lit up. Bad time to look for faint objects in the sky. But we can pick another date to do that. We can change the date in Stellarium to the middle of the month, so that what I'm talking about will be good for the whole month. The principal sign of spring, facing south, is prominent. There's one sign each time of the year: Orion in the winter, the Scorpion in the summer, and in the fall, the Flying Horse. But here we have a constellation very large in the real sky, so large you must turn your head from side to side to really look at the whole thing. And that is Leo, the lion. You can find the lion by taking the Big Dipper's pointer stars that point to the North Pole Star and going in the reverse direction. You could also use the Big Dipper. This is a technique we amateur astronomers call star hopping. Arc to Arcturus, bright orange star. And keep going in an arc till you come to the blue star, Spica. Your eyes, the naked eye, this, which you were born with, is a great astronomical tool. It can see the colors of stars: blue, hotter than the sun; orange, cooler than the sun. Some orange stars or red stars are only as hot as an oven. This star, at tens of thousands of degrees, is almost as hot as a New Jersey summer. Spica. In Stellarium, we can turn on some markings that you would not normally see in the sky, like the ecliptic, the path of the sun. The planets follow this because the solar system is essentially flat, except for Mercury and Pluto. Their orbits are tipped, just like the moon. Moon is tipped to the Earth's equator by about 5 degrees or so. But most of the planets, the sun and the moon, follow this ecliptic through the signs of the zodiac, of which there are now 13, not 12. We'll talk about that later when we talk about what's up in the July sky. There are faint objects to see in the sky. We call these deep sky objects because they're far away from us, sometimes farther than the nearby stars. It takes light years to get to us from the stars. Even the brightest star in the night sky, not the sun, the brightest star in the night sky, the dog star, Sirius, is 8 light years away. 8 years for light to reach us. It takes light 8 minutes to get to us from the sun. But some stars are even further, and some objects in space near Cancer the crab look fuzzy to our eye in a very dark sky or in a pair of binoculars. In a telescope, we can see the beehive cluster, stars born together, traveling together in space. A wonderful thing. There are many star clusters like this. A cluster of stars called the star cluster. So you can get the hang of scientific names. It's not hard to figure out how astronomers' minds work. We'll talk more about the stars of later spring in next month's presentation, what's up in the May sky, when we look at the big H for Hercules. Let's go back and take a look at some other things that are happening. There are planets in the sky. In the morning, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn making a nice grouping, as they did in the year 7 BC, when the astronomer David Hughes claims that that could have been the star of Bethlehem. A triple meeting of the planets Jupiter and Saturn, ending up with 3 planets in the spring of 6 BC. making a wonderful star, which is what astronomers and astrologers, magi, called that back in those days. And Venus is extremely bright in Pisces, the fishes. Amateur astronomers like Damian Peach, who you can see are colorful and not boring, take wonderful pictures of planets now, unlike any that could have been done years ago. And here in this shot, we see the red spot, the biggest storm in the solar system, has been shrinking over the past few hundred years. It used to be when I was growing up, when I was a child, in the time of the dinosaurs, according to my wife, you know, the Pleistocene, no, maybe the Jurassic. Hundreds of millions of years ago, Jupiter's red spot was 3 Earths long. That's what I read in astronomy books when I was a kid. Now it's barely more than 1. Something's happening. Good thing to look at in binoculars, you'll see a lot of objects in the big dog with the bright star Sirius, second brightest star in the sky. You all know the first, right? It's not Brad Pitt. You'll get it. Think about it. Visible in the daytime. Some open clusters, nebulae. Look for things in Sirius if you have a pair of binoculars. And speaking of binoculars, binoculars.com has a great guide for getting started. Great articles in Sky and Telescope magazine online. And if you're interested in starting with a telescope, small one, read this article in Sky and Telescope. Do a search. Great magazine, great resource. What's the best? It's free. It's the naked eye. You all have it. And that's how I learned. I went outside, I looked at a star chart, I learned about the sky. The star chart, completely not like this one. You're not going to find Aquarium and Conus Major in the sky. You're not going to measure the sky with right ascension and wrong ascension. You'll find these in the book Science Made Stupid, long out of print, written by Tom Weller and illustrated by Tom Weller. It's absolutely one of the funniest books ever written, I guarantee it. Check it out. It's available online only. It's out of print. Maybe it's on eBay. Check it out. And now a quick recap facing west. The planet Venus, the Pleiades, the star cluster. Another older star cluster, the Hyades for the face of the bull, and Orion the hunter to the left. In the south, the moon on the 4th, Leo the lion, Gemini the twins, and Cancer the crab to Leo's right. The disappearing signs of winter to the right in the west. The appearing signs of spring like the cup and the crow on the bottom left in the east. And here's the whole thing as it would appear on a planisphere, like the kind you can buy in science museums or the gift shop at the UACNJ Jenny Jump Observatory, where I hope to see you again for another What's Up in the Sky tour. Homework, go to uacnj.org for United Astronomy Clubs in New Jersey. Read magazines in print or online. Check out free programs like Celestia and Stellarium. And check out my website, linked to the International Association of Astronomical Artists, of which I am a member. I paint, draw, digital, animate, and write. And you'll see a lot of that work in my book, Space History Mysteries Solved, available everywhere. Look for astronomyinmotion.com, my website where you'll see a picture of my wife and me at Niagara Falls. And with that, I'll say thanks for visiting. This is what we normally show our physical visitors to the site. I hope you'll be able to join us when things clear up. And it's been a pleasure talking to you about what's up in the April sky. See you again.